compatriotes, frères Maxime yo. Yon peuple qui pas connaît côté le sorti, pas connaît tout rêve que pas même osé imaginer. Nous pas n'importe peuple. L'école yo pas dit nous tout peuple que nous y a. Nous sortis loin. Nous sortis dans Guinée, c'est vrai. Mais son paquet de nations qui viennent et qui composaient peuple haïtien que nous y est aujourd'hui. Nous traversons l'Atlantique dans quel bateau négrier. Il y a des gens qui disent ah, on va tourner encore avec l'histoire. Mais ce n'est pas comme l'histoire, on ne pas prendre qui a souillé. Mais je dis, nous sommes loin, nous sommes peuple du feu, nous sommes peuple dignité, nous sommes peuple souverain. Nous sommes premier pays qui naît de gros gourmet qui était fait pour que les ancêtres nous étaient capables de prendre indépendance. C'est pour voir ça fait dans le monde entier. Le premier empire nègre des Amériques. Et empereur nous relé Jacques, empereur premier d'Haïti. Haïti, c'est maman liberté. Nous-mêmes, nous sommes descendants, femmes à garçons vaillants, moi, les marrons libertaires, qui étaient levés, campés, pour te dire non. Non à un système qui était là depuis que le monde existait et qui, première fois, déclarait en nation d'hommes noirs, de femmes noires, et aussi des mondes mélangés, parce que nous tous, nous sommes des mélangés. Nous tous, c'est des mondes qui viennent déclarer libres. Je dis, nous sommes descendants des marrons libertaires. Nous sommes peuple vaillant, nous sommes peuple qui jambe. Nous sommes petits de rois et reines d'Afrique. Nous sommes paquet à faire dans le monde. C'est ça nous y jusqu'à aujourd'hui, malgré ça, nous vivons aujourd'hui. Nous vivons dans un pays qui pouvait, une fois de plus, que nous avons force pour nous gommer, mais nous avons un pile courage pour nous supporter ça, la misère, la pauvreté. Pas seulement misère côté pas qu'à manger, mais misère côté que nous en prison dans notre propre pays. Nous.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, brought to you by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. May 23rd and 24th, 2026, New Orleans International Voodoo Day promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo-inspired works by talented local and international artists. This event will feature a children's program and an Afroecology exhibit, exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their role in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community and recreated culture. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to New Orleans marker on the moonwalk at the river, just behind Jackson Square, and conclude with a traditional voodoo ceremony at Kongo Square. Additionally, visitors can participate in interactive workshops, community discussions, and opportunities to connect with practitioners and cultural experts throughout the year. This multifaceted celebration offers something for everyone, creating a meaningful space to honor the past, to celebrate the present, and to inspire the future.
Hello, can anyone hear me? Because I can't hear anything.
Peace, Sister Tony. I could hear you loud and clear. Yeah, Divine dropped off, huh?
Yeah, apparently it sounds like he dropped off. How are you tonight?
I'm good. And yourself,
I'm good.
Sister
Yeah, I
Bianca?
think you have to come back in. Sister Bianca, you in the room?
Yes, yes, I am. I thought something was wrong. I'm like, okay, what happened?
Apparently something happened with the divine prince, but we here. We
Mm.
don't have the reading yet, and I'm quite sure he'll be back in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just before I came on doing some more research into what's going on in our country today.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a picture where Trump had the whole back part of the White House demolished.
Wow.
It's demolished. It's not remodeled, it's totally demolished, like you demolish a building that will no longer be there. You could go on my Facebook page and see a picture of it. I mean, it's all over everywhere. And looking at that picture lets you know that this country is in a war because it looks like something on the Gaza Strip.
What was he
Yeah,
supposed to put up there, like a ballroom or something
ballroom.
in that area?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something that he does not need.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something that has not been there before because they have rooms big enough there already. It already has a ballroom, apparently not big enough for his ego. But when he got this, he said that it was not gonna affect the existing structure. So he made it sound like it was just a remodel. No, it's completely demolished, like a wrecking ball, all the way
Wow.
across. Was that 250 million? But he's laying off people and the government is shut down. But today he
Right.
started demolishing the White House.
It's almost kind of like, you know how he work in so many ways of like being petty. Like, hey, I just want to let you guys know that I can put a shutdown and all this stuff to it, but then I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this money to do something like this.
Yeah.
Please forgive me, y'all. The internet just went completely
Mm-hmm.
out. And I'm sure some of you are aware of, what's been going around in the media about this Amazon outage,
Mm-hmm.
which has created, all kind of technological difficulties. So please forgive me and bear with me, y'all.
I'm not aware of the Amazon outage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sister
Oh
Tony,
yeah.
it came on the news this morning. They calling it AWS, but that's Amazon. Their cloud server is down right now.
Somebody done hacked it.
Yeah.
So it interrupted, all kind of social media, gaming sites. My Ring cameras wouldn't work for several hours. Yeah, it's been chaos.
I bet you that sent a lot of people into a frenzy when they couldn't get online with that. But we were just, excuse me, we were just waiting for you to return. We knew you would be back. And while you were gone, we were just talking about the demolition of the White House that Trump started this morning.
Mm.
So now,
Okay.
if you would so graciously send us into our lesson.
Well, let's talk about root work and conjure. Often
Mm-hmm.
misunderstood, but deeply sacred. These traditions are not just folk magic, they are spiritual technologies born from African cosmologies, adapted through necessity and resistance. In Hispaniola, which we now know as Haiti, root work drew from Kongo, Yoruba, Dahomey traditions, blending with Taíno herbal knowledge and Catholic iconography. Practitioners use herbs, bones, stones, and prayers to heal, protect, and to guide. Conjure, sometimes called hoodoo in the US, was a way to navigate oppression. It included ancestral veneration, candle work, spirit communication, and ritual baths, and it was medicine, rebellion, and remembrance. These practices were passed down orally, often in secret, and became the backbone of spiritual resistance in maroon communities, and later in Haitian Vodou, Louisiana Voodoo, and Dominican 21 divisions. As the magical book quotes, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And so, understanding that root work and conjure developed as a response to the brutal conditions of slavery in the Americas, and certainly here in the American South, particularly. Enslaved Africans carried their spiritual knowledge across the Atlantic, blending ancestral reverence, plant medicine, and communication with the unseen. And in this new land, we adopted and blended these traditions with indigenous herbalism and European folk magic. This adaptation led to the birth of hoodoo, a sacred knowledge passed quietly through generations, remaining a source of resilience and connection to our spiritual inheritance. Hoodoo is not just a religion, but an intuitive path of sacred practice. Again, passed down through the generations, drawing on guidance of ancestors and the unseen forces that walk behind us, below us, above us, and around us. And whether uncrossing a jinx or drawing prosperity, protecting the home, or opening new paths, Hoodoo empowers us to create meaningful change through intention and spirit. The development of root work and conjure is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of African traditions, which have been shaped by the African American experience and the cultural influences of other minority groups within the Americas. Hoodoo, root work, and conjure are deeply entwined with the themes of revolution and freedom. And these traditions are not just practices for personal empowerment, they are also a form of resistance against the oppressive systems of slavery and oppression, both then and most certainly today. The practitioners of the traditions often use their knowledge and skill to fight for freedom and justice, drawing inspiration from the African heritage that lives and thrives in our ancestral memory, in our DNA, and the resilience of our ancestors. The rituals and spells we perform are often seen as acts of defiance or means to challenge the status quo, embodying the spirit of revolution and the quest for liberation. And before I present our questions for tonight, I just certainly want to invite you and remind you, and certainly Elder Reggie will do so again at the ending point of tonight's podcast. Our next new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will be tomorrow night, Tuesday, the 21st of October at 6:30 p.m., 710 Clouet Street in the Clouet Garden, a ritual spiritual warfare gathering. And we invite practitioners of various traditions and practices to come out and please join us and help us to defeat the devil, if you will. Sankofa, this African word that we know to mean to go back and pick up for our survival and evolution, something that we left. We need to go back and pick up in order to bring and move us forward. What do we need to go back and pick up for our survival and our continued evolution today? And how do we apply the wisdom, science, art, and power of these practices? ATR, Aboriginal African Traditional Religious Systems and Practices, today. In what ways do we maintain and learn adaptations of these traditions today for empowerment and liberation? And finally, before I unmute my beloved co host, in what ways do you continue to show honor and respect to those who came before us, and most certainly to your ancestors, for whom shoulders we now stand and hold foundation, for whom we would not have life, breath, meaning, and purpose? In what way do you continue? My beloved chat participants, my co hosts, and those in the listening audience who might want to join us now here live on the platform. As I unmute the Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez, our beloved Elder Reggie, here we know as Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, also faithful member of and administrator of NOIVD, Bianca Johnson. Ah, Bianca Johnson Plessy. What's going on here? It was, please forgive me, y'all. Bianca Johnson Plessy, a faithful member and participant in NOIVD as well as the source. Please do come on in and address the questions, if you will, at your leisure.
Good
Hello,
evening,
everyone.
everyone. Yeah,
Go ahead, Elder Reggie.
Thank you, Sister Tony. I know we kind of introduced ourselves a few minutes earlier. Good night, everyone in the chat. And everyone, Divine Purse, great show, great lead in tonight. Even with the difficulties, you weathered the storm, and we still moving forward. What I wanted to say, to keep it relevant in today, what I do is every morning I just pour water on the property as a libation, but I also is honoring the earth, the water, the wind, the air in the four cardinal directions, and plus my ancestors. And that's one thing I do on a daily to stay relevant with the hoodoo tradition.
Also, that's a good one too, because I kind of do some of the same thing. Like, in the morning time, you still say a prayer and still want to give honor. Um, and like what you were saying, also just acknowledging your ancestor, acknowledging the nature, acknowledging the grounds that they walked on, with their blood, sweat, and tears, just like acknowledging all that and still being thankful for where you at now, because they
Mhm.
have been through a lot to get us to where we at, even if it's just during learning or just anything. And it was also something that I wanted to ask you about, Brother Reggie, because I see
Mhm.
something on the weekend you had posted that you went somewhere in Galveston.
Yeah.
which I felt like I did not know what it was, but I felt like that was a good thing of like going out to the water and paying, you know, respect and honoring the ancestors and stuff like that. So if you could explain a little bit about what that was about.
Yeah, please. I'll touch up on it. It's a yearly event. It's similar to the Ma'afa that we do during Essence Week in New Orleans, but it's more of a Ma'afa to the Gulf of Mexico. And a lot of the spiritual houses in from Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas. Some of the houses in Houston, the Shrine of the Black Madonna, they host this event. And people come together, they sing, they dance, and then they make fruit offerings and whatnot to the Gulf of Mexico, the water spirits there. And then after that, we do like a big group hug, and then we head back home. And it's a pretty good event because it's community based and it's drawing on because we those of us who practice the ATRs are friends of the ATRs. We can still consider an outlier in a Christian, Muslim, Judaism dominated faiths. And so that's just a little event for us to come together and show love toward each other. That's what it is, Sister Bianca.
Okay.
Well, me, what I do, I honor my ancestors all throughout the day. I talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them like we talking. I grew up in a household with my mama talking to spirits like we sitting here talking. So it don't seem strange to me. I mean, I tell them stuff like, you see what's going on? Do you really see this?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's like I be waiting for them to respond. And then sometimes I do get a response. Sometimes I do get a response, especially if I'm sitting outside, a butterfly might come by. And every time I see a butterfly, I know that's an ancestor of mine. So that's how I honor them. I have my ancestor altar. And, you know, I just keep them alive in my mind and in my spirits and telling my children different things that I did with my parents that I did with them. Their grandparents are very much alive with them. They bring them up often in memories of things they did when they were children. My oldest two were the only two that got to meet my dad. None of them got to meet my mom. But that's how we keep it alive. We keep them alive by constantly bringing them up and talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sister
What
Tony.
about
There's
you,
cer-
Divine?
there are certainly ritual applications that we, utilize here in our house, and as well in terms of the greater community of the source. Certainly, the creation of a sacred space to honor and acknowledge those who've gone before, both inside the house as well as on the outside of the house, are critical elements to our practice. Cemeteries, graveyards, old property where your family and ancestors lived and dwelt, sometimes hundreds of years, if not more, before, are all central elements to our practice. You may have heard me mention that I try and make a journey up into Mississippi at least once every year during the height of cotton season, and I pull up, a whole cotton plant and bring it back to the city, and I use it from the flower to the root in every
Mm-hmm.
aspect of our practice, as well as many who come into the house, and some of my godchildren. We utilize aspects of it. There's certainly the greater communal demonstrations that still take place. We still gather to some degree on Sundays in Kongo Square between usually 3 o'clock and 5:30, I guess. It has changed over the years. People come and go. People have aged. People have gotten sick. But we still managed to sort of maintain that tradition, as well as the Mayafa, the annual Mayafa that takes place every first Saturday in July. Our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day is I guess the newest, fastest growing element to our communal demonstration as it relates to the practice, and acknowledging and honoring our ancestors, and then bringing in those triangular elements of West Africa, Benin, our official sister city agreement with Benin, as well as the sister city arrangement we already had with Haiti, and our continued support and relationship uh, with Haiti. We are certainly in support, prayer, ritual right now for Haiti. One team member of ours and our Creole instructor as well is now in Haiti, and she has the care of, I believe, at least a dozen or so orphan children in her care, and we're also seeking support, donations and offerings as it relates to, the protection and the welfare of the children. We understand that our babies and our children are just coming out of what the Yoruba would call Orun, or the spirit realm, uh, between heaven and earth, and then our elderly and our elders, our oldest elders and elderly, are now preparing to go into that spiritual dimensional space. So we acknowledge our ancestors not just in libations and food offerings and misa and ritual ceremony, but also by doing uh, good deeds and doing wellness to the living as well. Adahanse is another initiated path, Brother Elijah, in the Yoruba traditions that's specific and unique to working with herbs, plants, roots, if you will. Uh, I would indeed say it has certainly some elements of voodoo, um, and conjure to it, but I cannot necessarily say that there's a direct link to it through language, um, or symbolism directly.
Thank you, Divine Prince. I had a big question about that. I'm always hungry for reading on different things of within the diaspora, within the several different tribes or the seven great tribes that I would normally say, in regards to the foundation of the diasporic practices here in the United States. And can I just follow up on just some of the ancestral practices things, because I do follow through with that. Every morning, part of my ritual is I normally put out my ancestor candle, and every evening I light it. This morning I have actually, it's sometimes in the morning is when I put my like working in residue or things from my altar, old offerings. I usually leave that at the base of a tree, or put it in the river as I speak with the spirit of the river, or sometimes the spirit of the church or the graveyard. I work a lot with the spirits of place, and I
Mm-hmm.
talk to my ancestors throughout the day, asking for guidance. Some of them I actually listen to more in their afterlife than I did in their real life, but that happens. But it's an interesting journey, communing with spirit and constantly getting my shoulder tapped sometimes by the ancestors. So that's just my journey. It's kind of like constantly opening myself to be able to hear their whispers, awake or in my dreams, and constantly trying to do generational work.
And one
That's
thing
beautiful, Elijah. Go ahead, Sister Tony.
we have to do too is try to bring back the village. We have become such a me people. We have to bring back the unity we had in order to move forward. We won't be able to move forward without it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's the bottom line. because we each one trying to do it, and we all pulling in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
We have to bring back the village. A lot of disasters, especially here in New Orleans with Katrina, just decimated the village that had been in place and the villages that had been in place for generations. And it just tore them up, and everybody spread out all over. But wherever we are, we gonna have to start building those villages back up again. I know back in the day, I had all my oldest daughters classmates knew me because I would pull them in and make them read and talk to them and advise them and on history and stuff like that. And even though they fall apart, we still have that village. We still have that communication. We still set aside a time to get together and celebrate with each other. Um, you know, if they far away, we can still reach out to them and set up some kind of reunion or something to come together and try to rebuild it back.
You know, that's something that Elder Reggie and I, you know, as co-founders and co-creators and co-administrators of New Orleans International Voodoo Day, are challenged with. Not only, you know, continue to build and reconstruct our own communities, our own ministries and houses, but now in the production of this event, crossing the lines of lineage, of particular practices, um, even race and ethnicity in some cases, to create and recreate a greater sense of village and community. And it's something that has to be worked at daily. It's not something you can do, you know, just on Sunday, you know, or once or twice a year. It's something that we are committed to and are often challenged with every single day.
Well said, Divine Prince. And I like to just springboard of what you're saying. Like the event we're doing tomorrow. It's no matter your denomination, it's an open prayer, it's a collective prayer for community as a whole to come together, come in your own way, as we say, and bring what you bring, and we all partake in it as a collective to try to heal this country. We see the divide, we see all the isms going on, and working as a collective is going to be the only way we could push back against that. And we are trying to do that. And thanks for bringing that up, Divine Prince.
And like you said, like what Sister Tony was saying, and I think she is right about that because I do notice that you know we all have a purpose, like you say, is to bring peace. Like everybody have a purpose for something. But sometimes I do be feeling like that a lot of people are like, oh, like she said, oh, well, I got this going on and I'm trying to survive, but I don't want to be with that group of people, or I feel like I'm better than this, or I don't associate with this. So I think a lot of us do get caught up with, you know, different groups or different cultures, or the dislike, or try to be better than the other, or just things like that, instead of coming together, like you said, as a community and for the purpose that we're doing it for.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say on this topic, I think this is like a very beautiful topic to me because it kind of gets to the crux of why I feel like the elders here are so amazing in my personal experience from amongst other groups. I typically see myself as more of a bridge worker, and I work within the diaspora with the different groups and stuff like that to try to make sure that everyone's communicating and that we can coordinate things here in the North Florida region. But what I like about Divine Prince and Elder Reggie and Sister Tony about this group is there seems to be a higher sense of inclusivity. And maybe it's like the Pan Africanism, or maybe it's just the New Orleans, Louisiana gumbo of it all. But like in no other of the diasporic practices or the ATRs do you see this much acknowledgement and incorporation of the broader spectrum of the different tribes and the different paths. And for me, that's a powerful thing, because in the future, it's going to be a lot of these bridges that we build that will ensure that, we don't return in the past to where like there is everyone has to go back in the closet with their practices. I would also like to say is that what I feel is unique about Louisiana, once again, is that gumbo feeling, is that mix. I can't really compare it to like any. I don't know if you guys have ever left Louisiana, but if you do, when you go to other places where there's other spiritual paths, it's a very stark difference between what you get out here versus what you get in Louisiana. And I could say there's nothing like it. It's a blessing to come for that. There's a more of a holistic view. And even though you watch, like I watch a lot of Divine Princess videos from years in the back, he's consistent, and he's consistent with like how he bridges and interprets amongst the different tribes and different religions and different paths. He's always trying to like find mutual spaces, and those mutual spaces do make a lot of a benefit for like the larger community. So that's why I kind of look up to you guys for. It's because it kind of mirrors my own kind of like sight on like how I would like the world to be. And so I just want to thank you guys for demonstrating that unity.
But Elijah, truth be told, and I'm just going with European people right now. There's a lot of European people that's making the track to Africa, to Haiti, to Brazil, and other places. They're putting the time, they're even putting their money in to learn the ATRs, even though people might not want to acknowledge them, but they are studying, they're showing their self-approval, and they are allies in this. Every hand that can dip into the cupboard to pour libation is needed at this time. And so my approach is about it. If you walk in lock and step with me to get stuff done, then let's do it.
Yes.
And a
I
lot
definitely.
of them acknowledging through learning and even in their own spirit, because they still are part of us, whether we want to recognize it or not. They realize that it is the beginning, and that's where everything is and should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's they going back, and we have to look at too, even though as a lot of people don't want to or won't acknowledge, there have been those Caucasians, white people, whatever you want to call them, in good sized numbers who have stepped up and for our cause, and we couldn't have did it without them. We couldn't have did what we did to come up out of slavery without the abolitionists,
Mm-hmm.
without people like John Brown.
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, especially with being 17% of the population. I think that part gets lost of how many people, how the coalition came about to stand in arms to make our present a reality. And so I definitely always want to acknowledge, that big majority, that not even the majority, but that plurality of the other populations that contributed to the world that we live in today. And so I'm all about, a coalition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And we definitely need a coalition. I mean, if like Elder Reggie said, they spending their money, they going in all out. And most of them are even going against their own family
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for what they
Yeah.
believe in. And if they believe in it enough and they believe in it that strongly, I'm not going to take it from them. I'm not going to try to say they don't count.
Mm-hmm.
We all
Mm-hmm.
have something to offer. I think people need to find their path, find what they meant to do. Like, I knew I was to be a teacher without actually being in schools to teach, because I knew that what I was teaching, they would not allow me to teach in schools. Everybody used to always say, oh, you should go to be a teacher. You should have got a teaching degree. No, I got my degree from something higher.
So
And
Tony, you would have been my favorite teacher.
thank you. Thank you. And I started mine without even realize what I was starting in the prison system.
Mm.
That was the first group of people I started teaching and doing it through the underground because back then you had to go through some hoops to get right knowledge into prisoners. And parish prison, I even made an alliance with a Catholic nun who would get my packages in for the guys that belong to the Nation of Islam. For the other guys, they reading material and all of that because whatever she brought in to the prison, it wasn't subject to be searched. So I started flooding the prison with final calls, and she had no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would go get them from the mosque out in the east, all the back issues, and send them in. I was sending in workbooks from the thrift store because I discovered a lot of our brothers did not know how to read or write. I was actually doing elementary school workbook lessons with prison inmates, grown men.
See? Mm-hmm.
Tony, do you still do that kind of work? And
No. I haven't done it. I did it for like 15 years. I pretty much paid for all my stamps, my papers, and my envelopes. They had people who knew what I was doing and they would donate because I did the letter writing all by hand. I had other employees that could move around the hotels more freely with keys that would make copies of books. I would get in a book. If it was 50 pages, I would get that copied up and send that in 5 pages at a time. I had to
And
keep
see,
a record of what I sent in to everybody.
and we're talking 15, 20 years ago, pre-Katrina. They've locked a lot of that down now.
Yes.
Just as recently as 2009, 2010, they started sending my letters back, unopened, unread. But technology now has found its way into the system. So I'm still able to operate in the prison ministry, and often the inmates contact me directly through social media. Now, don't ask me how they getting access to devices and Wi-Fi. It really ain't my business, but they're managing to do it. You're even seeing them posting, on TikTok and Instagram.
Well,
Divine
I
Prince.
know I recently wrote a brother that I wrote way back, one of the first ones I ever wrote. And he is back incarcerated. And I sent him a letter. And when they did mail call, he was totally, absolutely, positively said he was shocked that his name was called because all of them get their mail through email now.
Mm-hmm.
They have email accounts. Nobody hardly writes letters anymore. You can't get anything in. My time of doing it was the perfect time. I even would go visit brothers I never knew in the prison because they said nobody came and visited them. So me and a couple of more sisters and Mama D, if y'all know Mama D,
I
Yes.
know her.
we would go to Angola and talk to the brothers for the Eid, for the Islamic holidays, the feast days for different religions. I even went to some Native American ceremonies because I wrote all of them. And on all my envelopes on the outside was a genami that was colored in some kind of colors from the Adinkra symbols. And that's how they all knew that I was writing them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
I've lost so much. I had pictures from prisons all around the United States, but that was my thing. That's what I was meant to do, was to teach, and I didn't even know it until it slowly came upon me, where I was teaching and kept going with it. Now I taught my kids, and I taught the neighborhood kids, and talking to them like an elder parent. They 40 and 50 years old, and when they see me now, they still say, "Mama Val, what you got for me?" And that means, what you want to teach me today? What you gonna tell me? What you got for me? You know, so find where you fit in. Find your thing. You'll know it. And if you can't seem to find it, try several different things until you find that which you enjoy.
Elder Tony, do you know if, because I never noticed it going to I did visit family in the prison a lot as a kid, and I never noticed it. Maybe I was just too young to understand it, but do you know if if the ATRs has some of the same clergy status to be able to go, like you said, like the nun could, to go in to see the prisons with certain protocols? I know
Not
here in
back
Florida.
then. Not back then. And I don't know how it's going now. Not back then. They couldn't even have the shamans go in for the Native Americans. We fought like hell to get them a sweat lodge. So, and one of the fights I had was not cutting the dreads off. I mean, I was fighting, getting other people. There was a time that inmates had a lot of help out on the streets than they do now. But no, not at all. I didn't go in on the, anything other than Naima Shikamana. That's my name in the prison system. Sister Naima Shikamana. And that was a name inmates gave me. They said, nah, stop using your government name. So I had a brother from Angola and a brother from Hunts, because his last name was Shikaman, and he brought me into the tribe. So that's my name in the prison system. So that
So
brother
Tony,
that I wrote that been reincarcerated, he say he still hear brothers talk about me. He say I'm like a ghost in the prison system,
this may
because some
be
of the
a not so.
ones still in there from 15 years, they got life sentences.
When you said tribes, is that this might be a not so smart question. Is that like a real thing in prison, or are you talking more like ATR related?
No, that's the prison tribe, when the brothers get together and bind together, and for protection and for learning and spirituality. You know how they have the Aryan nations and the Black
Okay,
Panthers.
that's what I want to ask. So I see Orange is New Black. Okay, I get you mean now.
Yeah, so this is something that they came up with, and they chose a leader for themselves and grouped off. So they have different tribes in there. They called them tribes back then. They even called the Aryan nation a tribe.
Sister Tony, well,
Mhm.
we pressed our time. We're a little bit beyond time.
Oh yeah, we sure
Yeah,
are.
but it was a good conversation. And maybe 1 minute can I extend, then I'll read lest we forget. Because we was going down the path of ancestors, and the spirit had wanted me to bring up elevated ancestor. And I just want to read just a quick paragraph before I close out. And I know we pressed for time. Elevated ancestors. Elevated ancestors are those who have transcended their earthly attachment and suffering, caring and angelic quality, and actively seeking to support and guide their descendants in contract, to guide their descendants. And the reason you bring up elevated ancestors in the Ifa faith, they are called the Egungun, is the collective. You got your Egun, which is your family line of ancestors. But then when you go to the Egunguns, now you're talking community, nation, ancestors. And the reason I wanted to bring up elevated ancestors, because we did bring up European. But whenever we do DNA, we all have a percentage of European DNA that shows up on our files. And so even with that percentage, even if it's Native American DNA, that is a pad and a portal to an ancestor. And that ancestor comes in as what we call the elevated ancestors. I just wanted to drop that because the spirit had given me that information in lieu of the conversation we had. All right, lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. And with that, our last tomorrow, please, my last statement, our new moon ritual, prayer, and application ceremony will be on the new moon, which is Tuesday, tomorrow, the 21st of October at 6:30 p.m. Please come out to 710 Cluid. I'll be there, and others will be there, and we'll hold in friendship and fellowship. It's a ritual spiritual warfare gathering. Please come out. With that, I say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. We love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner away. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise." Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.